Realization Part 2. This, the Katha Upanishad, speaks in very figurative language. There was in ancient times a very rich man who made a certain sacrifice which required that he should give away everything that he had. Now, this man was not sincere. He wanted to get the fame and glory of having made the sacrifice, but he was only giving things which were of no further use to him, old cows, barren, blind, and lame. He had a boy called Nachiketa. This boy saw that his father was not doing what his father was doing was not right, and he was breaking his vow, and he did not know what to say to him. In India, father and mother are living gods to their children. And so the boy approached the father with the greatest respect and humbly inquired of him, Father, to whom are you going to give me? For your sacrifice requires that everything shall be given away. The father was very much vexed at this question and replied, What do you mean, boy? A father giving away his own son? The boy asked the question a second and a third time, and then the angry father answered, Thee I give on to death, Yama. And the story goes on to say that the boy went to Yam, the god of death. Yam was the first man who died. He went to heaven and became the governor of all the Pitris. All the good people who die go and live with him for a long time. He is very pure and holy person, chaste and good, and as his name Yam implies. So the boy went to Yam's world. But even gods are sometimes not at home, and 3 days this boy had to wait there. After the third day, returned. O learned one, said Yam, you have been waiting here for 3 days without food, and you are a guest worthy of respect. Salutation to thee, O Brahman, and welfare to me. I am very sorry I was not at home, but for that I will make amends. Ask 3 boons, one for each day. And the boy asked, My first boon is that my father's anger against me may pass away, that he will be kind to me and recognize me when you allow me to depart. Yam granted this fully. The next boon was that he wanted to know about a certain sacrifice which took people to heaven. Now we have seen that the oldest idea which we got in the Samhita portion of the Vedas was only about heaven, where they had bright bodies and lived with the fathers. Gradually, other ideas came, but they were not satisfying. There was still need for something higher. Living in heaven would not be very different from life in this world. At best, it would only be a very healthy rich man's life with plenty of sense enjoyments and a sound body which knows no disease. It would be this material world only a little more refined, and we have seen the difficulty that the external material world can never solve the problem. So, no heaven can solve the problem. If this world cannot solve the problem, no multiplication of this world can do so. Because we must always remember that matter is only an infinitesimal part of the phenomena of nature. The vast part of phenomena which we actually see is not matter. For instance, in every moment of our lives, what a great part is played by thought and feeling compared with the material phenomena outside. How vast is this internal world with its tremendous activity? The sense phenomena are very small compared with it. The heaven solution commits this mistake. It insists that the whole of phenomena is only in touch, taste, sight, etc. So, this idea of heaven did not give full satisfaction to all. Yet, Nachiketas asked as the second boon about some sacrifice through which people might again attain to this heaven. There was an idea in the Vedas that these sacrifices praised the gods and took human beings to heaven. In studying all religions, you will notice the fact that whatever is old becomes holy. For instance, our forefathers in India used to write on birch bark, but in time they learned how to make paper. Yet the birch bark is still looked upon as very holy. When the utensils in which they used to cook in ancient times were improved upon, the old ones became holy. And nowhere is this idea more kept up than in India. Old methods, which must be 9 or 10,000 years ago, as of rubbing two sticks together to make fire, are still followed. At the time of sacrifice, no other method will do. So, with the other branch of the Asiatic Aryans, their modern descendants still like to obtain fire from lightning, showing that they used to get fire in this way. Even when they learnt other customs, they kept up with the old ways, which then became holy. So, with the Hebrews, they used to write on parchment. Now they write on paper, but parchment is very holy. So, with all nations, every rite which you now consider holy was simply an old custom, and the Vedic sacrifice were of this nature. In course of time, as they found better methods of life, their ideas were much improved. Still, these old forms remained, and from time to time they were practiced and received a holy significance. Then a body of men made it their business to carry on these sacrifices. These were the priests who speculated on the sacrifices, and the sacrifices became everything to them. The gods came to enjoy the fragrance of the sacrifices, and it was considered that everything in this world could be got by the power of sacrifices. If certain oblations were made, certain hymns chanted, certain peculiar forms of altars made, the god would grant everything. So Nachiketa asks, by what form of sacrifice can a man go to heaven? The second boon was already granted by Yam, who promised that this sacrifice should henceforth be named as Nachiketa. Then the third boon came, and with that the Upanishads proper begins. The boy said, there is this difficulty. When a man dies, some say he is, others that he is not. Instructed by you, I desire to understand this. But Yam was frightened. He had been very glad to grant the other two boons. Now he said, the god in ancient times were puzzled on this point. This subtle law is not easy to understand. Choose some other boon, O Nachiketa. Do not press me on this point. Release me. The boy was determined and said, what you have said is true, O death, that even the gods had doubt on this point, and it is no easy matter to understand. But I cannot obtain any other exponent like you, and there is no other boon equal to this. Death said, ask for sons and grandsons who will live 100 years, many cattle, elephants, gold, and horses. Ask for empires on this earth and live as many years as you like. Or choose any other boon which you think equal to these, wealth and long life. Or be thou a king, O Nachiketa, on a wide earth. I will make thee the enjoyer of all desires. Ask for all those desires which are difficult to obtain in the world. These heavenly maidens are chariots with chariots and music, which are not to be obtained by man, are yours. Let them serve you, O Nachiketa, but do not question me as to what comes after death. Nachiketa said, these are merely things of a day, O death. They wear away the energy of all the sense organs. Even the longest life is very short. These horses and chariots, dances and songs may remain with thee. Man cannot be satisfied by wealth. Can we retain wealth when we behold thee? We shall live only so long as thou desirest. Only the boon which I have asked is chosen by me. Yam was pleased with this answer and said, perfection is one thing and enjoyment is another. These two have different ends, engagement differently. He who chooses perfection becomes pure. He who chooses enjoyment misses its true end. Both perfection and enjoyment present themselves to man. The wise man, having examined both, distinguishes one from the other. He chooses perfection as being superior to enjoyment. But the foolish man chooses enjoyment for the pleasure of his body. O Nachiketa, having thought upon the things which are only apparently desirable, thou hast wisely abandoned them. Death then proceeded to teach Nachiketa.